Okay, so here we are again. Today I'm going to talk about the three aspects that go into all first-person shooters. The first one is basic skills such as shooting, grenading, running around, etc. The second one is tactics, how to maneuver through doorways, how to when to throw a flashbang, etc. like that. And then the final one is judgment, and that's when to use different type of skills, and you're going to make a judgment on how to use that type of skill. And the same thing goes for tactics, when you're going to use a certain type of tactic and when you're not going to use a certain type of tactic. Each of these three attributes, basic skills, tactics, and judgment, precede each other. Without tactics, or without basic skills, you can't perform tactics if you can't shoot straight, if you can't flashbang. And without tactics, you don't know when to make a correct judgment call. And finally, before we move on to shooting, let me set my disclaimer. While most of the things I'm going to talk about mirror real life, this is still a video game, and as such, the aspects of what we're mirroring may or may not be different than in real life. Such as bunny hopping and stuff like that. So that's my disclaimer. Now we're going to move on to shooting. Okay, before we can talk about shooting, we need to talk about what type of gun we should select. That way we know if we select this type of gun, then we can shoot this type of way. Obviously, assault rifles are meant for medium to long range, especially for long range, the M14 and the G3. Me personally, I like the submachine guns because I like to get into the close quarter type battles, and that's what mainly these tactics that I'm talking about today are going to be about. Also, we should talk a little bit about perks. As you see here, I have the UAV jammer and dead silence along with silencer and silencer here. Here's another setup. This one I have the P90, which has a large magazine. I have Juggernaut health, and I have extreme conditioning so that I can get beyond where most people think I will be and then shoot them in the back. Here's my classic assault setup. Obviously I have stopping power. I have a very powerful G3 6C. As you can see, it does a lot of damage. I also have the red dot sight on it. Sometimes I like to put on the ACOG, but mostly just a red dot sight. And then most importantly, I have deep impact so that I can shoot through the wall. Here's another close quarters battle type configuration. I have the M1014, which is a four shot shotgun, and then to counter its short ammo supply, I have fast reloading, and then steady aim so that I don't ever have to bring it up to iron sights. I can just fire from the hip. Okay, so here we are. We've made our perk selection, our gun selection. Like I said, I like close quarters battles, so I have my MP5. I want to talk about ranges and when to bring up the iron sight. Obviously this is the iron sight if you didn't know. At close range, when you engage a target, let's say this is the target, this little statue. At this range, there's no need for me to bring up my iron sight. I can just blast away and I'm going to definitely hit them. At medium range, I would say probably right about here to, maybe right about here. This would definitely be a bringing up the iron sight. As you can see, not all the bullets hit them. But if we bring up the iron sight, now all of them did. And then finally, at long range, you definitely want to bring up the iron sight and maybe even burst fire. Each gun has a different range where you need to bring up the iron sight, but most of them are going to be, most of the assault rifles and close quarter battles type weapons are going to be medium range. You're going to bring up that iron sight, and definitely at long range you're going to bring up that iron sight. But play with it, and you can find where you need to bring up the iron sight and where you don't. Okay, so here we have a target at medium to long range, and I want to talk about leading a shot. When the target is running, yeah, he's giving me the "I'm going to run that way" message. When the target is running, we want to not aim at the target, but just a little bit ahead of the target. And as he passes through, we're going to hit him. And then we aim a little bit ahead again, passes through, we hit him, and then continue on. Okay, the final thing we want to talk about is definitely something that doesn't mirror real life, and this is again involved in shooting, and it's called circle strafing. I think everyone knows what circle strafing is, but I do want to mention it. It's where you keep the target on your iron sights and you move left and right using your strafe keys. Quite important. Okay, let's talk about grenade handling. When you have a grenade, the furthest you can throw it is at 45 degrees, and this will give you the furthest throw possible. Another thing you should learn how to do is how to effectively bounce the grenades, and that can depend on where you need to bounce it, such as into that doorway right there. Here we are again. We're going to bounce this grenade right into that far corner. Again, bouncing grenades is very important. Now let's talk about smoke grenades. I like to call smoke grenades the thinking man's grenade. We know that if we cross from this location to this location, or even anywhere over here, there is so many spots that we can be attacked that it's not a good idea to be there. So instead, and we can even be attacked over there. So instead, what we want to do is throw out a smoke grenade, give it a second or so to effectively cover our retreat, and now we are definitely covered and we can move to a different location. Okay, now we've talked about shooting. Let's talk about movement. There's two types of movement. You have your aggressive movement and you have your tactical movement. Aggressive movement is on a scale from 1 to 0 is 10, where tactical or cautious movement would be a 1. Now, I don't know how most players play, and I'm not going to tell you how you should play, but me, I play on probably about a 7 or an 8, and I try to be as aggressive as possible while still trying to be a little bit cautious. The reason I say this is because speed is life to me. The faster I can move, the faster I can side strafe, the faster I can move to a different location, stuff like that, the more likely I will survive. So, continue on with basic skills. Let's talk about sensory. Sensory is important because we need to be able to see the target, and we also need to be able to hear the target. If we can see the target before they see us, and if we can hear the target before they hear us, then we can eliminate them. So what can help us with sensory? Well, if you have the money, you can buy a good sound card and a good set of headphones. I don't recommend using speakers, but with that, you should be able to hear enemies' footsteps, enemies' gunfire, the click of the hand grenade, stuff like that. The other one is visual, and as you see, I just saw our target right there, and he's at long range, and we burst fire just like I was talking about before. The helicopter will shoot at enemy targets automatically, so look at where the helicopter is shooting and then move to that location, and most likely the enemy will be there. Also, bullets leave impact holes. If you're being shot at and you're not sure where, look for the impact hole on the wall, and then most likely you'll know where it came from. So if it was here, then the bullet came from over there, whereas if it was here, then the bullet came from behind me right there. Now let's talk about environments. When most people talk about environments, they're talking about the maps. This is the same for me, but I want to talk about what most people don't do. They don't think in 3 dimensions. when you engage an enemy, and let's say you engage them here, and they're there, and then you move into here to eliminate them, to flank them or whatever. If you think in 3 dimensions, you can target them there, and then actually run down and throw a grenade like that. And then you can come back up here. We see said target. He's in that building there. We'll just come over here, let him think that and again we're going to think in 3 dimensions. So we have a first floor, we have a second floor. And see, he's waiting for us. See, piece of cake. He was waiting for us on the second floor, most likely not thinking in 3 dimensions. Now let's talk about psyche. Most engagements happen with the meeting, then the engage, and then the frag, and then the flank. This C engage, frag, and flank maneuver is so common that you can pretty much guarantee to expect it with any decent player. So what you have to do is be unpredictable. The best thing about Psyche is being unpredictable. The game works like this. You think you know what the enemy is going to do. The enemy thinks he knows what you're going to do. So you have to think about what the enemy thinks you're going to do, so you know how to avoid what to do. It's kind of confusing, but basically it's a repeating cycle. If you know that the enemy knows what you know, then you can do something different to be successful. That's unpredictability.